Okay, so I'm going to do shoulder extension, and the reference point is the midpoint of the glenohumeral joint, and the movement arm stays in line with the humerus, and the stabilization line follows the mid-axillary line. So for extension, the arm moves backwards, and we're looking at the angle from the chest to the shoulder. Okay, go ahead. So that was 60 degrees. And then for flexion, it's the same reference points. We just move our arm into flexion now, going over or forwards. And we're going to look at this angle here. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so 170 degrees. And then for shoulder abduction, the reference point is the posterior axillary line and the spine of the scapula. And you abduct to the side and then up. And we're looking at the angle from the back to where the arm is. So turn here. Okay, and abduct. Up and out to the... Okay, and that was 165 degrees. So now we'll abduct on the left side of the body. 163 degrees. Okay, and now we will do flexion and extension for this side. So you can extend. Good. And that was 55 degrees. And then flex. Come forward and bring your shoulder all the way up. And that was 170 degrees. Okay, so we're going to do shoulder mobility now. So we're going to start with the hand above the head, just one of them. And the other one back here, both arms in a fist. And then we're going to measure between the palms of the hands. And then usually this distance would be 1.5 palms. So the length of her palm is just about 4 inches. And then the length in between is just about 4 inches. So she has good mobility with her right arm. And then for the other side, we're going to do the left arm, both in a fist, and it's about 6.5 inches. So a little less mobility with the left shoulder. And then for C-spine flexion, we're going to start with the goniometer in an 180 degree position. And then we're measuring, when the patient flexes to the right, we're measuring the left side of the goniometer. And when the patient flexes to the left, we're measuring the right side of the goniometer. Okay. Go ahead. So that was about 20, and then to the other side, 30 degrees. So for that one, we want to make sure that we're keeping our fulcrum in line with the C7, and the stabilization or movement arm follows the center of the head. Okay, so for hip extension and knee flexion, the patient is lying in a prone position, and the goniometer is 180 degrees, and the reference point is the greater trochanter. The goniometer should stay parallel to the floor, and we're reading the opposite side, so the part that's closest to the ground. Okay, so extend. Okay, and that was 20 degrees. So for the other hip extension, Okay, good. And that was also 20 degrees. And then for knee flexion, they're also lying in a prone position. And we're measuring on the opposite side of the goniometer. Okay. So flex. Okay. And that was 115 degrees. And then go ahead, flex. And that was 115 degrees. Okay, so we're going to do hip flexion of the straight leg. So we're going to extend the leg, flex the hip, and bring it upwards. And we're going to read the opposite side of the goniometer. So, yep, go ahead. So that was 110 degrees. And then on the other side, yeah, go ahead. That was 90 degrees. And then for hip flexion with the bent knee, we're gonna do the same thing, but instead of keeping the leg straight, the knee will be bent, reading the opposite side of the goniometer. Okay, and that was 115 degrees. And then for this side, go ahead, was 105 degrees. Okay, so we're gonna do knee flexion in the supine position. And the reference point is the lateral epicondyle, and the stabilization arm is in line with the femur. So lying on the back, flex the knee. And that was 120 degrees. And then for this side, okay, go. Was 125 degrees. Okay, so we're going to do ankle plantar flexion and ankle dorsiflexion. So the reference point is the lateral malleolus, and we start the gynecometer in a 90-degree angle, and then the stabilization arm is parallel to the ground. So for the numbers on the outside of the goniometer, that's what we're going to read. So plantar flex. That was 65. And then dorsiflex. That was about 10 degrees. Okay, so plantar flex. And that was 60, and dorsiflex. And about 10 degrees.